Hello, esteemed professors and honorable researchers. I am Leung Bernice from Trinity College Foundation Studies under the University of Melbourne, and I am here to discuss the topic of abuse taking place during a person's childhood and how it affects the worldview of the person. Before we dive into the topic, we have to define a few key terms. Abuse, according to the American Psychological Association, the APA, are the interactions in which one person behaves in a cruel, violent, demeaning, or invasive manner towards another person. Child maltreatment, defined by the World Health Organization, is the abuse and neglect that occurs to children under 18 years of age, including physical, emotional, sexual abuse, and neglect. Childhood, which we take in a legal context for the child to be defined as a person under the age of 18, is a critical period for brain development. And abuse and trauma inflicted towards a child will result in adverse effects such as cognitive and language delay, memory issues, poor executive functioning, and most importantly, subjectiveness in social and emotional information processing. Therefore, this research proposal focuses on the biases in information processing during childhood, which will accumulate into a relatively more negative outlook and worldview. So, from the above information, it is hypothesized that young adults who have endured abuse during their childhood would have a more negative outlook on society and the world than young adults who have not endured any form of abuse throughout their lives. So, how could optimism or negativity towards the world be measured? To answer this, I have devised a scale or a spectrum titled the World Perception Score, which ranges from negative 50 to 50. The reason behind the values of the extremities is because in order to calculate or determine where someone's worldview lies on the scale, we have to conduct a 25-question survey. The response options for every question would be strongly disagree, neutral, agree, and strongly agree, with the scores allocated being negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, and 2, respectively, or the other way round, depending on the positiveness or the negativeness of the statement of the question. So, what do I mean by positive or negative statements or phrasing? For example, I would use the phrase, "Do you believe that there is hope for justice in this world?" So you can see, this positively phrased question lays down the premise aligning with a positive worldview. On the other hand, a negatively phrased question would have a negative, cynical outlook as a premise, like the question, "Do you believe that people are born evil?" This is because by varying the positiveness and negativeness of the phrasing, people would not be inclined to blindly agree with the questions, and that the overall theme of the questions, may it be optimistic or pessimistic, will not suggest them or second guess their perspectives. The more positive the world perception score would be, the more positive the outlook of society and the world the participants would have, and vice versa. On to the practical aspect of the study, experimental procedure. To conduct the experiment, we need an equal amount of participants, 50 of mixed gender, from the control and experimental group, with the control group being participants with no experience of abuse during their childhood and none during their adulthood to eliminate external variables, and the experimental group being participants who have only experienced abuse before turning 18, not after. All the participants must be 18 to 25 years of age, as we want to investigate the effects of abuse with little delay and external events that would happen to the participants that may impact the accuracy of the study. Besides, the people that we are investigating, the subjects, are young adults, which are 18 to 25 years of age. Participants must complete the survey within 25 minutes, as this does not allow time for participants to adjust their answers to desired direction, may it be positive or negative, or overthink questions. Participants will be sourced from the University of Melbourne and Trinity College and will be funded 10 Australian dollars per participant for completing the survey. As we all know, the raw data from participants is not enough. We have to analyze it. A t-test will be used to compare the means of the work perception score between the control and experimental group, with the p-value being the standard 0.05. A Cronbach alpha test will be used to test the quality and reliability of the work perception survey to ensure that the results are accurate and supported. As stated previously in the hypothesis, Expected results would be that young adults who have endured abuse during their childhood would score lower on the survey, towards the negative end, than young adults who have not endured any form of abuse throughout their lives. As an additional note, I would like to add that during the brainstorming concerning the topic of this research proposal poster presentation, I was heavily inspired by the manga and anime series Moriarty the Patriot by Ryōsuke Takeuchi, in which the protagonist, William James Moriarty, endured physical and verbal abuse from his adopted noble family, thus developing a negative worldview on the classist society of Victorian era London, driving him to reform the societal structure and the world by being the lord of crime. The story delves deep into the heavy psychological effects and extreme negative thoughts child abuse does to a person, using the perspective of William James Moriarty as a reflection towards the cruel situation of child abuse on a global scale. So that is it. Thank you for reading my poster and listening to my poster presentation. Feel free to ask me any questions relating to the research proposal and enjoy the summit. Bye.